slowing down, and a secondary problem in that caution area. So Clio 118 colliding with Porsche number 61. Initial contact coming out of the Hatzenbach, and then further contact later on as well. So a chance to recap on the start with the Ferrari almost going for second position into the Yokohama S, trying to outbrake René Rast for that first time into the sharp right-hander. Amazingly enough, everybody managed to get through. 3 abreast easily further back, though, and again through the left-hand element of the Yokohama S. We're not using the full Mercedes arena this weekend, and the very, very full pit garages, highly populated because there are as many as 7 teams being run out of one garage here this weekend. They're all cheering for their various teams, or indeed looking pretty sorry for themselves if they already have damaged race cars. Fabulous start for the lime green Chrysler Dodge Viper CC from 3rd position in the second group up to lead that class and to go door handle to door handle with the Audi TT RST, the LMS Engineering entered car. Car 89 tried around the outside, realised that wasn't going to work with the big American muscle car just having slightly better traction, better torque out of the corner, and the Audi TT front-wheel drive worked its way out of that corner on the opening lap with the Lexus RC in tail. And the third group, again, that was pretty neat and tidy as cars fanned out further back, including the 133 Black Falcon Team TMD Friction Carrera. Starting on Michelin tyres, it tried to jump a couple of BMW Racing Cup cars as it worked its way down towards there. And the 2 Porsches out front, it was the pole car that led into the Yokohama S for the first time, the Aesthetic Racing 911 Carrera, beating to the corner car 137, the Matol Racing Cayman S. And there was a bit of leaning on each other further back in the pack between the ADAC Team Visor BMW and one of the many Pixum Team Adrenalines. Car 13 is where in the overall standings. It's going to take a while, isn't it, for the timing screen to shake out, in my experience.
Yes, it does, yeah.
So we won't give you the order otherwise, but the Porsche Cayman and BMW little group is also going pretty strongly.
38th is the Viper at the moment.
Right, so where in relation to number 13 is 89 and 170 then?
89 is 41st, 170 is 43rd.
So they are in that order, and so that's 1st, 2nd and 3rd, I reckon. At the line, which is the 29 Van der Linde-driven Lant Motorsport car, up to 4th position ahead of the Ferrari of Georg Weiss. And let's just see how much grass René Rast churned up. He went into flight, indicating to drivers it's happened through the second bit of the first run through Hatzenbach, and initial contact coming out of the left-hander resulted in a Clio being spat wide. As it came back across the track, it's clipped a Porsche, and there was additional contact there with a Clio almost embedding itself in the back of an R8, possibly the 34 Audi R8.
I think that is 34. I think it's a 61 Porsche that went around, and it was well, it was the mistake. Just checking that, it's noted as 39th position at the moment.
61 looks like the number on the nose of the car. Yeah. That's the car that started 3rd in SP7, the Gigaspeed Team Get Speed Performance 911 GT3 Cup car. Ulrich Berg, Patrick Kaiser, Andreas Skipansky, and also Jean Hertenstein, and driver of which already clambering out, looking rather, well, resigned to the fact that that car may not go any further. He's spitting out the coolant from the front of the car. Meanwhile, the Audi, the damaged Audi, and it is the 34 SP9 machine, Saruman, Rocco Kuch and Sluten Audi. And that's received big rear left damage, so got bodywork rubbing on tyre pall.
And the problem for that car is where the incident happened was beyond the cutback on the Grand Prix loop, about the first corner beyond the cutback on the Grand Prix loop. So he's going to have to do the best part of 23 kilometres in order to get back to the pit lane. And that, of course, applies as well to the Clio. again, a long way to go for that car before it's going to be able to get back into the pits to get repairs done.
That car was running in 18th spot, but obviously tumbling down the order. Was there contact for the 704? Yes, there was. Yeah, they're all slowing up.
Because code 60 zone, I've just seen a purple flag there. That's what it was.
This is thinking, but you need to slow down. A double waved yellow flag would always be preceded by a single yellow flag. That means there's a speed limit of 120 kilometers per hour. The third type is the purple flag, which there in that section leading down into the Hatzenbach.
And out of that section, it was Jeff Westphal that was far more awake than Rene Rast. You don't often see that, with Rene Rast caught napping. And we have another change of lead, not quite confirmed because it hasn't, obviously the leaders haven't come back to the line yet. But Rene Rast just did not fire into life. He did then, but it was about 3 seconds too late. And Jeff Westphal...
Thanks. So looking for where the AT leader has actually got to. It is now the 320 car that's taken that position. It's the 62nd overall.
To drive cars. And what happened with the Mercedes 230E, there was side-to-side contact heading into a right-hander. The Porsche spins, the Mercedes takes to the grass, and the Porsche, I reckon, is going to clout the tyre wall very heavily indeed. All happening now in a big cloud of dust, but it was the Mercedes that was also involved. So both cars going off together. It's the 79 Porsche, and the Mercedes...
It has now bubbled back up to the top. I was suggesting it wouldn't. It has done. But, of course, that advantage is because it did go the extra lap on the previous tank full of fuel. If it does that again on this one, it won't come in at the end of this lap. It'll come in on the end of the next lap because it gets an extra.
And this is lap 16 for the race leader. There's also concern for one of the BMW 235i Racing Cup cars, which is missing a front left wheel, it looks like, Graham. And they're trying to wrench the door open on that car.
They're struggling to get the door open on the number 250 car.
And 250, one of many, many Racing Cup machines. That started 6th in the second group, and the wheel has already departed company from the car before we see the issue for that machine. So I can't tell you how that car lost its front left wheel, but it's done significant damage to the bodywork around it as well.
It's on
and
fire.
There's a fire. And that presumably is bodywork crumpled around very, very hot engine bay.
On BMW. Now, did that get help? It did, as another Porsche Cayman on BMW. Little bit of action, I'm afraid. SP6 second place car, that's Hofer Racing car.
Yeah, one of the two Hofer Racing. Of the Manta, trying to get it turned to the right direction. That has happened at the King at Schwedenkreuz, and it's a big old crunch, I'm afraid, on the rear left corner there, as it's gone into the 3-layer Armco. Just activity there. Meanwhile, very, very busy on the Hatzenbach, and more contact for the Bentley. That was number 37, brushing the side of one of the lower order BMWs. Looks to be a very production spec Beamer from one of the V classes, and car 142 then pulling off, I think, as a result of that contact.
Paul Trustwell says it doesn't matter, it's going to be too sharp, too short, it's basically going to be steam by the time it hits the track. Anybody who comes into the pit lane for wets is a wuss. Did I sum that up correctly?
You paraphrase what I said, but the problem is, I mean, and you can maybe comment on this, Tom, you know, no good us speculating, you're the driver, you know what these things are like. You know, you need to be out there for 8 laps. It's a long circuit. The chances of you needing to break into that 8 laps to change tyres for the weather conditions, it would have
on the grid. Was Jeff Westphal the first American to start on pole in a Nürburgring 24 hours?
That's a
I can't be coming
question.
in this late and asking that question for the first time.
I wasn't there for the countdown to green, so I don't know if the question was asked, but it's...
I would have thought that you would have got to that, Paul, in the top 30.
Yeah, so you're probably right.
Well, I found Kit. It's that's Cup 5. Now we've got.
Why didn't you say so?
Screen showing an incident for the Falcon Motorsport Porsche Björn Bergmeister. Didn't CLO? Oh no, it's the Bentley. It's the 38 car, lock up straight out of the pit lane, left front locks up, and he's gone. Okay, the left front has locked up, and the car has basically not slowed even remotely. So either A, brake failure, or B,
it's not brake failure,
the throttle has jammed wide open. No, because look, the left front was locked, the right front was rolling. The right front was turning, the left front was locked. 38 Bentley has been dragged out of the gravel trap. Driver being asked if he thinks he can continue. I'm not entirely sure whether he'll be happy to do so. Number 311 pulls off to one completely stationary, and the right front wheel still turning. You know, if you have a lock-up and you're braking hard, normally you'd expect the other wheel to lock up as well. 70. Sorry, Paul.
Sorry, 5 minutes to go to the end of the 5th hour, and we're back into a situation where the gap has come down again on the outlap for Kelvin van der Linde.
Straight, but the left front wheel is turning in, and he has gone around the outside of a something or other. And hit the barriers on the left front very hard. Left front suspension broken on the Audi and on the Clio, which is in 144th place, and is car number 125. So that team will be waiting a while for their car to come back as well. It's the SFG Schönau team from Bavaria.
And that's the worst possible place, isn't it? It's just at the top of the Hatzenbach, so it's the first bit of the Nordschleife. So assuming that they manage to get it going again, it's got an awful long way to drive back.
Nico Muller has felt something in that carpool because he didn't even attempt. Is that like, we've got to
Mate, he hit the barrier so hard, it can't possibly not have been broken.
He's got broken steering.
But he's still got motive power. He's got 3 wheels pointing in the right direction on his Audi. He's got a right rear puncture. Oh, and the car turns hard left, and somebody in a bright yellow something shot by.
So it doesn't go down as far.
Yes,
no, not even down as far as that. It ends at the bridge over the...
okay. After Hocheichen.
Yeah, sort of between Hocheichen and Flugplatz.
One of our class leaders has just found the gravel trap at Arnberg. That's the number 112 John Cooper Works Mini. That is leading the something T class, isn't it?
The something T class.
Well, Moller Madsen, 3rd place car. He's 3-point turning to get back, but he's got left rear damage. The right front wheel is in the air, so he's got a puncture, and he looped it round.
Now, was that cause or effect, Martin? Did he go off because of the puncture, or was the puncture caused by the impact with the barrier?
A BMW comes past.
Well, you're going to... Oh, there it is.
So the entire carcass is now rolled off at high speed as he gets down to Arnberg.
Maybe half the carcass has.
Yeah, well, that's what remained of it, and he's somehow wrestling his way Cresta Run style around the rim of Arnberg. I mean, if you can get towed all the way back to the pits by a vehicle, or if you can get on a flatbed truck, there was a fire indeed, John Hindhoff. The TV pictures are now showing that the remnants of the carcass, the steel was so...
You need fewer clips, and new Dunlop's ready to go on 247.
86th place, number 143.
Thank you, Paul.
Wow. Or David.
He's much quicker than me. 143, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the first, I wasn't expecting to do this. How could you tell? This is Pixum Team Adrenaline Motorsport, the E90 325i. I can't tell you who's at the wheel there, but that looked like it happened all on his own. Pulled off, in fact. So problem with the car on the Grand Prix circuit. Looked like it was coming down through the fast right-hander before the Vidal chicane, and has decided to take a somewhat unconventional line, but stay off the racing circuit. That might be...
This guy a little slow coming through Blackmore. Shoddy work, that's all I'm saying. Nice take on the fuel helmet, just being shown on screen. Seems to be slightly more in keeping with...
He's done on its previous lap, 8 minutes 30.357 seconds.
Big moment on the Grand Prix circuit heading into the Schumacher S's. Did you pick up who that was?
Just saw the car sideways.
Now that's a replay. I'm not sure.
It's not the same car.
I'm not sure how recent that was.
It was an Aston Martin. I thought it was
the 70 Aston Martin.
Advantages of having the extra time during the pit stop is that it does make sense to do little bits of tidying up work in that 20 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever you need in order to bring yourself up to the minimum pit stop time. And very often we'll see them doing little bits of bodywork tidying up, and you're sort of thinking, oh, well, you're wasting time, but you're not. You're just using up the window of the minimum pit stop time that you've got to use anyway. The other thing they will use, and now is probably the time, now we're getting to half distance when they'll start thinking about doing that, is they'll use the time to do a brake change. We may well see them doing a change of double stint that's going to be the hero stint of the race, where he puts the WRT car into a winning position, marking his card. 8:22.423, new fastest lap of the race for René Rast. He continues to close in on Marcus Winkelhock for the lead of the race, and he's now got the gap down to...
In Cup 5, with a couple of hours still to go, is the 246 car in 56th place. Then we get to SP8T, and SP8T, another leading car on the first timing and scoring screen. That is the BMW M4 GT4. We saw that car with a double puncture a little while ago, but it's got back out, it's running well, and leads SP8T in 35th position. And again, another car with substantial advantage over the 52 BMW. That's one of the Team Sherma cars. And SP8T third is going to be the 53, which is the other Team Sherma car, I'm pretty certain.
Leader is 2 laps
M2
ahead in that class.
Absolutely. And we've got, just for a moment...
yeah, a hugely cost-effective way of going motor racing. Very slow car in 121st place. It's a Hyundai, and he has only got 3 wheels on his wagon. And there is a tyre mark in the door, as well as a broken right front corner. So broken right front corner and tyre mark on the right door. I'm saying the two may not necessarily be unconnected. This car 11th in its class.
123rd overall for number 95.
I was wondering which of the Scottors was driving it. It turns out to be Peter Scottors. Not necessarily driving it now, but he's on the entry list. Paul.
Another check to save the tyres. Meanwhile,
Nearly.
Right in front of, that was Fessler, wasn't it? There's a BMW 325 that spun.
Oh, it's broadside across the road.
Yeah, and in fact, Antonio Felix da Costa just going through there as well. So that can't have been Fessler. He's further up the road than that. So that must have been Chris Meese that it was right in front of. It's the 154 BMW, the 7th in class.
the leader in SP7 at the moment, John.
Right.
So
that's the Manthey racing car, isn't it? Yes, it is.
Having just had a routine pit stop in 22nd place overall. Now, I can't remember when... I mean, SP7 normally creeps in and is knocking on the door of the top 10.
Yeah.
There was very little drama throughout the front runners during the night, so we didn't pick up as many places as we were perhaps anticipating. But
brain fade as well as brake fade for the Porsche coming through into Arenberg and braking impossibly late. Need to be on the brakes well before the change in the tarmac there, and he wasn't at the moment. Oh, and the 173 Audi, that's an S3. Now that is one of the leading lights in TCR, 4th position, and in the top 75. That car has been in the wall. There's fluid leaking, essential fluids leaking from the front of that car. Now, where is that high overhead camera? As the BMW that we were just talking about is towed by it, by one of the cars. The driver is out of the Audi and rather flung himself over the Armco, trying to get out of the stricken car. Oh, that's been over. That was the Audi, and it's been completely over onto its roof. This is the 173 car, back onto its wheels. That was a huge accident. The car, looking from a distance at least, relatively pristine. So the safety cell having done its job, the driver is out. So if you've got contact with the 173 car, a little bargee coming out of that uphill left-hander out of Brunchen, because there was a bit of weaving. Assuming nobody has an issue, the 125 Clio off the circuit, and that is touring with, I think, another puncture. This is the Clio Club 3 car, 12th in class SP3, sitting in 125th position. Not sure I really want to be driving on the grass. It's a left front puncture.
See Aston Martin, it has a very healthy more than 10 lap lead over any next contender in its class. Clearly they'll want to turn that car around.
Oh dear, Kisling Manta has gone off. It's been hit by the Ferrari. by the Ferrari, the 122 car, over the jump. That was in a yellow flag zone, I think.
Dear, oh dear.
And the number 22 has ran up the back and rammed the Manta off the circuit. Now, that is in the run towards Flansgarden, I'm pretty certain.
John,
yes, it is.
Did that car lose control? No, no.
There was the yellow flag out. I don't think it was.
No.
It is. The yellow flags are out. Now, was that for the Manta being pushed off? Definitely contact. That was not smart driving by who was ever at the...
Effectively, the pace is being slowed, so the distance that you will cover will be less.
The 305 Cayman tipping the 160 BMW into the wall at exactly the same spot as the Manta had its issue.
For example, at Le Mans, is everybody lining up behind the leader in order to make it a nice photo finish. It doesn't matter whether you do that or not. If you go across the line after 24 hours have elapsed, then you take the checkered flag.
We've got an incident out on the circuit. It's involving a Bentley and the number 236 BMW, currently in 50th place. That's the... and it's the red Bentley, which is the 36 car. So the red Bentley has got a front... right-hand side puncture, and looks like it's either coming together with the left rear, was it, of the BMW?
It comes from
it comes from
40 years of going to watch motor races.
No, that's not what I meant. I'm not on about your gut instinct. As a cracking battle there out on the track, but I'll quickly finish what I was about to say to you. That car had gone completely off its pace, hadn't it?
With Alex Lynn behind
10
the wheel.
seconds slower.
Yeah.
But did Farfus get in the car and then get back on the pace?
Yeah. I meant it had an accident.
Final word on the Foxtail Manta. What's the tail held on by? Nürburgring. Thank you. Good night.
Go back to number 7, Aston Martin, for a minute, because it just made that pit stop whilst you were doing the rundown. Another 8-lap stint, needless to say, for the number 7, and it will be able to get to the flag now on one more stop, no doubt about that. I'm currently suggesting that...
for BMW, and spreading the motorsport love throughout the range, as you mentioned before, it is pretty much unique to BMW. Two of your customer cars having a little bit of a scrap going out onto the Hats and Back from the Grand Prix circuit. They're coming out of the motorcycle version of the Vidal chicane. I didn't realise you were so much into rallycross with that.
Well, you should have seen we had Timo Glock and Timo Scheider in our DTM car on the rallycross track in Hockenheim. So you see, our
particularly with reference to pit stops and mandatory pit stop times, because there's a part of me that looks at that and looks at where we are now and thinks that could be a
particular advantage to doing it, and that could have been a very good strategy that the number 33 car used, but for one minor off-track excursion, which didn't really even cost it that much time, but was enough to delay it by, what, about...
30th place overall, or rather he was. Door opens and the fire's on the driver's side, and the driver... Of course, because you can never remember to undo your radio, is attached by his head to the car as he's trying to get away from the flames that are engulfing the cockpit.
I bet he could feel the heat at that point.
I bet he could feel a lot more than that as well. That was quite a frightening moment. That was spontaneous combustion under the bonnet. So...
He's just before the left.
WRT Audi should come in at the same time, and at that point you're looking at one more stop plus a splash for 2 laps. Now that splash for 2 laps is totally dependent on how many...
The race was gone 15 minutes ago.
Off.
Oh, Rast's off! Rast's off! And that is at the Tiergarten. Is it? No, it's Blünchen, excuse me. Now going the way of Van der Linde. Off.
BMW's off.
The BMW off. Katzberg is off at Blünchen. Same spot of the circuit. The leader had a problem, so Rast is only 3 corners further on, and the race is coming back to land.
Unbelievable.
Hang on a second. Somebody pinch me and wake me up.
There will be
He's on
one...
the grass. He's on the grass.
That's not the 9. That's
car.
17. That's a 17 car.
It's the 29 car on the grass.
Yes.
The 29 car. Now now in second, is on the grass, picking his way through. He's gone rally crossing to go by people who are struggling on slicks. Just has to keep it, roughly speaking. Do you know what? There's probably more grip on the grass at the moment than there is on the track.
One more lap at the end of this one, John. We've got one more lap at the end of this one.
Take it steady, son. The DJI drone watching the cars coming round. Great addition this year. Change for second place at Adenauer Forst in the damp, side by side, and through goes Katzberg. Great manoeuvre. Great manoeuvre. And all of a sudden, it's BMW into second place. And now all the long faces are down at René Rast's crew at Audi Sport Team WRT. And BMW have something to cheer about. Remember, they stayed on their Michelin tyres.
Through the line now are taking the checkered flag. Their race is over. But, of course, the winner has yet to take the checkered flag.
But he's not far off coming through the big slide coming through onto Flansgarden. Really? You want to do that to your team?
He would be the first ever South African, in fact, first ever African winner of this race. Colin de Filippi would be only the second ever American winner of this race. It would be Christopher Meese's first Nürburgring 24 hours, I believe.
Right.
And it would be, I think, a third for Marcus Winkelhock.
Just unbelievable. Everybody going wild at the side of the track. The marshals who've been outstanding, giving an ovation to the cars as they're coming through. They know they've witnessed something very, very special here, as have you, listening or watching. The compliments about the stream, very well received here by our technical partners, Vega. It's been rock solid. Global Motorsport Audi. 2 corners to go. It's dry here now. The tyres will be worn. The two Team Thailand Gazoo Racing Ultimas are in team formation. The marshals know. The crowd knows. The man with the checkered flag knows. And Land Audi knows that they've won the 24 hours of the Nürburgring for 2017 in quite extraordinary circumstances. A team who were down, out and broken 45-50 minutes.